Okay, so in this tutorial, we'll proceed to clean up the scene and bring back the character to the origin so we can proceed to applying materials and adding bones so we can animate it. So we're going to start by making sure that all the parts, each and all the parts of the character have their pivot, their corresponding pivot at the origin. So this one doesn't have it at the origin. Sorry, so all of them haven't centered. So I will start by selecting the head. So it's centered. Here it's centered. The arms we move the pivot to the origin, but that's not going to be the case anymore. So I need to reset this pivot to the center of the piece. And for that, I'm going to go here to the modify menu and select center pivot. Same thing for the hand, modify center pivot, select the arm, and then I can just press G on the keyboard to repeat the last operation. Select the other hand, press G, select the pelvis, it's okay. The leg, let me see, okay, the leg, press G again, the other leg, press G, and now all the parts of the character have their pivot centered on them, right? All right, perfect. The next thing we're going to do is we will open here the outliner. We're going to expand this a little bit. We're going to get closer to the character here, and then we will start just making sure that we're going to clean up the all the pieces in the scene and making sure that we end up having only the visual elements we have in here. So this cylinder, we're going to call this cylinder. I can double click over there. There are many ways to rename these parts. I could double click in here and I could just type head. Actually, I'm going to start with lowercase head mesh. I will name this head mesh. Another way to rename things, instead of double clicking here, I could just click over here in the channel box, and this will be torso mesh. Press enter, and let me see what's this. I think I could just delete this part. And I'm going to select this. These are remains of history or groups that were created during the extrusions and the modeling of our characters. So I pretty much can delete this, all of them. Also this cylinder over here. This cube here. If for any reason you select one of these groups and when you click delete, it disappears, you could also make sure to select the piece and then press Control D. And by duplicating the piece, you're making sure that you actually have a real copy of the piece, and then delete the rest of the remains, the remaining history of the character. So it's clear, and we end up with a clean scene with only the mesh that we're going to bind to the skeleton that we will be creating for moving the character. All right, so let's see what's this. Okay, so this is the character's left arm. So I'm going to double click here. I'm going to type left arm. Okay, this is the left leg. Left leg. Notice how the first word in the naming of each of the pieces starts with a lowercase, and then the second word of the name starts with an uppercase. That's just a small thing we will be doing on this project, just to have some naming conventions over there. So this is the right leg. This piece, we're gonna call this hip mesh. Actually, you know what? I'm forgetting here. I'm forgetting the mesh word. So this is left arm mesh. This is left leg mesh. Right leg mesh. And the reason I'm adding the mesh suffix It's because later on we will be creating, we will be making bones for each of these pieces, and we want to keep the same name for them, and we will just be changing the suffix from mesh into bone or something else. So we have a clear naming convention here in the character. So here I'm selecting a cylinder, but there's nothing in it. I'm just going to proceed and delete it, and just make sure that my character remains complete. Select this other pair. Okay, so this is the left hand. So this is left hand mesh. This piece over here is the right arm mesh. And this piece over here is the right hand mesh. All right. Now, if I want to add a bit more order here to the parts of it, I'm going to say, okay, I have the head, I have the torso, then I have the left arm, and under the arm, I would like to have the left hand here. So after this name, I want here between the left arm and the left leg, I would like to have the left hand mesh. So I'm going to select the name, and with the middle mouse button, I'm going to press over the name and make sure that, as you can see, if you start moving up, dragging up the mouse, you'll notice that sometimes it appears a box and sometimes it just appears a line. If a box is appearing around the name, it will mean that if I just let the middle mouse button go, as you can see here, that piece becomes a child of the selected piece. So in this case, the left hand becomes a child of the left leg. So when I select the left leg, automatically the left hand gets selected. That's not what I want. So I'm going to continue moving this arm. I'm going to select the name, press middle mouse button, and then I'm going to make sure that instead of a box, it's just a line. And if I let the middle mouse button go, now the piece remains between these two parts without becoming a child of the other name. Okay, so I'm just making sure I have the left arm, the left hand, then I want the right arm over here, then the right hand over here. So with middle mouse button, remember, right arm, right hand, then left leg, right leg, and I'm going to move the hip just below the torso here. All right, so I have them. I have a bit more of order here on the selection of the pieces. Okay, perfect. So now the next step, I'm going to select all the objects in here. So I'm going to select, click on the head mesh. Then I'm going to press Shift and click over here on the right leg mesh, and I have all the pieces selected. And with all these pieces selected, I'm going to make a group. I'm going to group them all inside a null object, which is just a group. So I'm going to press Control G. And you see now on the left side inside the outliner, I have the group one. And whenever I select, if I just click on the head, I'm just selecting the head alone. But if I click here on group, I'm selecting the whole body. And the whole body has its pivot at the origin. So that's right. I'm going to double click here over group, and I'm going to rename this Lego Man mesh. Okay. And I'm going to move this. I'm going to move the character, bring the character to the origin, so it's easier to put bones later on. So in order to do that, it's already centered on the front view. If I go here on my four window view, I see that from the front it's already centered. I just need to center the character on the side. So I'm going to maximize this view. I'm going to bring this guy over here and just make sure that the center line follows the center line on the head. Okay, just to make sure that that's going to be my reference to say it's centered. So here it comes the center line of the grid, and I'm making sure that the center line of the head lies over it. So just close to it. So I'm making sure that the character is also centered on the side. And since I still need the pivot to be at the origin, I'm going to press the insert key, and I'm going to press the X key and pull this thing from on the set axis. So it's now relying on the grid at the origin. Remember, it's very important to press the X key so it snaps automatically to each of these corners, in this case the origin. I'm going to press the insert key again, and now I see that my character is centered on the scene, and its pivot it's also centered at the origin, and each of the pieces of the character have their pivot at the center of each of the pieces. Okay, that's exactly what I want. I'm gonna press the Q letter to hide my gizmo. And if I go back here in this view, I see that I have this group that contains all the pieces, and also each of the pieces here properly named. And basically the character is ready for rigging, which will be the next step we're going to make on the next tutorial. Actually, no, first we need to add materials, and we're going to put basic materials so we can start texturing the character. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you. Don't forget to save the scene, and see you on the next one. Thank you.